Broadcasting live from the New Creations Weight Loss Studio in Little Rock, it's Crime Chronicle Live with your host, Val Emmons.
Well, hello, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful day today. And we're going to get right to it today because on the phone we have Asa Hutchinson, who is the Republican candidate for governor of Arkansas, the former undersecretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Border and Transportation Security, the former DEA administrator, and former U.S. Congressman for Arkansas. Hi, Asa. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific, Val. Great to be on your show.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I know you don't have a lot of time today to talk with us, so we're going to touch base on a few things, and I hope that you'll come back and talk to us.
Love to. Anytime.
Well, first on my list of things that I wanted to talk to you about is what's going on with the state of Washington and Colorado right now in terms of the federal government, not making a decision on what to do with this conflict of the federal and state law.
Well, that's right. There's a direct conflict between Colorado and Washington State, which legalized at the state level possession of recreational amounts of marijuana. This is direct conflict with federal law, and the Justice Department, led by Eric Holder, has not indicated what their position is. And the challenge is that if the Colorado measure allows to proceed unchecked, then, in my judgment, you'll have a legalization of marijuana across this country within the next 5 years. Now, that's a fair, debatable point. I have my views on it, but we're really at the breaking point as to whether we're going to keep the present course in regards to marijuana or we're going to change course.
Right, and to me, that's not even, that's the question, I guess, for states to determine, but in terms of the Constitution, something needs to be done because you can't just ignore the fact that that the Supremacy Clause exists and the U.S. Constitution is the law of the land.
Well, that's right, and of course you contrast it with what the Obama administration did in Arizona when they believed that Arizona passed a law that conflicted with federal policy on immigration. They filed suit against Arizona to stop them from enforcing the state law. The same Supremacy Clause applies in reference to Colorado and Washington State, and yet they're not taking that posture. And I really think I'm not in favor of heavy-handed enforcement tactics. That's not the federal government's concern, right. Recreational users, but you can file a declaratory action in federal court to have the Supremacy Clause clarified in regard to this and strike down the Colorado law. And that's the common sense approach to have it resolved in the courts.
Right. I agree with you on that. So do you think that Holder will do that? Do you think that he will, set up a lawsuit against the two states and get this figured out, or do you think they'll just ignore it?
Well, he should have made this decision some time ago, because the longer the Colorado and Washington states allowed to implement their measures, then the more difficult it is to have it resolved, and it should be resolved earlier. Now, I think it's 9 former administrators of the DEA, both Democrat administrations and Republican administrations, have urged Attorney General Holder to take action, and he has not even responded to our letter at this time.
That's another one of my questions, is what response you got from him. So apparently that's the answer to my question. I think I read 8, including yourself. Was there 8 or 9?
Well, I'll take your judgment on it.
Well, I don't know about that. But,
but it was a bipartisan letter. And again, we've got our DEA agents that are out there. You've got all kinds of issues in regards to Colorado law. For example, if you've got someone from Arkansas that flies out there to Colorado and they have a nice marijuana weekend because it's legal there, and they forget a quantity of that marijuana in their bag when they're coming back, and they get stopped in Kansas or Arkansas because of that possession, it's just cumbersome. It's messy. It's unclear. And, people talk about, well, marijuana use is going up. Well, of course it's going up. I mean, there's been all the signals that marijuana is okay and it's recreational and it's fine.
Right. I agree. And so, well, I wanted to switch base for a little bit because I know that this week the report of the National School Shield Task Force came out, and I have to say that as a parent, from looking at of course, right here with me, I just have the summary of it, not the whole 200 and something page report, but because we don't have time for that today. But I was impressed with it. I found that the recommendations were fantastic, and I agree. As a parent, having children in the school system in public schools, I would vote for any of these things. So the question that I have is, in these recommendations, Asa, if a school were to implement any of the recommendations, if they were just to implement one, what do you think is the most important recommendation, or do they fit as a whole altogether?
Well, they fit as a whole, but probably the easiest thing for the school to do would be to go online at the National School Shield website and take a look at the best practices,
right,
which allows them to see some of the best things in security going on across the country, and they can see what works best for their school and review their own security procedures. They'll learn a great deal from that. There's many other things that's probably the simplest. It's free, and it would be a great benefit to the schools.
Well, I applaud the task force for its work, because I learned a lot of things that I didn't know by reading the report. There's a lot of things that parents don't see on a daily basis, and any parent should pick up this report and read it. And I want to the funding history is something that struck me, and I didn't realize. I know there's grants and funding out there, but you don't realize it until you read it, that these funds all solve a problem until they go away.
Exactly. Well, I applaud you, Val, for reading it, first of all. And, the professionals, when you set aside politics and all the heated debate that's going around, and you just look at the report and the recommendations from a professional security standpoint, there's really uniform acceptance about this as being common sense.
Right.
And we're not, let me make it clear, we're not advocating teachers carrying firearms in the classroom because they're there to teach.
Right.
But others can be designated by the school to be a trained response person in the event something happens. And a lot of these ideas came from Arkansas. The superintendents here that came from rural areas that said, these are common sense approaches. We need to have this capability, and so we're a part of these recommendations.
Well, I mean, when you look at it and having the SROs, I don't find this any different than a doctor or nurse having a specialty. A police officer that has a specialty.
Well,
and they do. And so I don't understand why people can't accept that they need to have guns on them in a school. I mean,
well, that is actually a very good way to phrase it. Specialized law enforcement and the SROs, the school resource officers, they carry a firearm. They're in the school, but they also incredible mentoring role, education role. Liaison with the police where the kids feel comfortable from a safety standpoint, but also understand more about the importance of law enforcement. So they have many roles. The most important is just simply to provide protection, and we've recommended some enhanced training for them that's, I believe, some improvements for, as you said, that specialty in the school area, which is a unique environment.
Right. And so on the funding, when I was reading about the funding, I was curious. I didn't come across it, or maybe I missed it, but why did the funds stop for the SRO programs? Did they expire, or did they get cut?
Well, they first expired. They were established, and it was under President Clinton, the first Cops in the Schools program, and then they funded for 3 years with the understanding that these local school districts would have to pick up the costs after that. And so it had a very beneficial effect, but all of the federal funding expired, and then even some other opportunities in funding were cut and really zeroed out because of the federal budget constraints. And so now President Obama comes in and says, well, we need to reinstitute some of these federal programs. But my view is that this is too big of a responsibility to trust the federal government. I think we can do this locally. The school districts have shown that they are willing to pick up the mantle and responsibility. So the federal money should be used maybe for some training grants, but leave the personnel costs to the local schools.
Okay, and so like in finding number 5, I wanted to ask you too. It says many public and non-public schools are financially unable to include armed security personnel as part of the school security plan and have resorted to school staff carrying firearms in order to provide an additional level of protection for the students and staff in the event of a violent incident on school property. So there are schools right now. My question is, how many private schools? Is this a common practice in private schools that they're allowing people to just carry?
Well, every state varies a little bit, but under Arkansas law, unless you are a licensed security officer or a sworn police officer, it's illegal to carry a firearm in a school zone. And so they would have to have some special authorization from the sheriff as an auxiliary deputy or as a licensed security. And so it's very difficult. That's why we recommend a change in the law, right, so that if they are trained, then whether it's a private school or a public school, they have to have some protection for the students in the event something happens, and not everybody can afford the SROs.
Right. Well, Asa, I know you have to go and you have other obligations, but I have one more question for you.
All right.
So regarding the 2014 governor's race, over the last years, you've stuck to your beliefs and your values, and you now, the Arkansas landscape has now changed here in Arkansas. So do you believe that Arkansas is ready for Asa Hutchinson now to embrace you as governor?
That's a great way to ask the question. Yeah, Asa hadn't changed, but Arkansas sure has changed politically, and it's so exciting for me to travel. I was in Magnolia yesterday, Bryant last night. I'm up in actually Mountain Home as we speak. I'm looking over the White River.
Wow.
Well, it's amazing, though, how the politics of Arkansas changed. People understand that the federal government is broken right now. They're looking at the state for more leadership. They're electing more conservatives, and so I think the time is right, and we're real excited about 2014.
Well, Asa, thank you so very much, and I hope that you'll come back and talk to us a little bit more about the DEA next time. This is a topic that I think listeners might find interesting as well. So you enjoy your day up over the White River, and we'll be right back.
All right. Thanks, Val.
Thanks. Have you picked up your Crime Chronicle this week? Crime Chronicle is the central Arkansas publication for crime-related news. Pick up your copy today at any convenience store or gas station near you. You can also find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Crime Chronicle. Do you want to learn how to safely own and shoot a handgun? Or do you want to go beyond that and learn how to fight with a handgun to defend your life? If the answer is yes, then Last Resort Firearms Training can teach you both either through private lessons, a class for concealed carry license, or with several advanced level classes. You can call Ed Monk at 870-273-1113 at Last Resort Firearms Training to schedule your training, or you can find them on Facebook. Last Resort instructors are trained military and current police officers. Call them today. 870-273-1113. You'll be glad you did.
This is Lisa Edelstein from House. On TV, the good doctors aren't always easy to spot, but it is easy to spot the good that Barasa Ware is doing as a local health worker in Ethiopia. Every day he helps the children of his village survive. When you help local health workers like Barasa, you're one step away from helping children survive all over the world. See where the good goes at goodgoes.org. and find out all the ways you can help the good go further. Brought to you by Save the Children and the Ad Council.
After I turned 40, my body started changing. I didn't feel as attractive as I used to.
I started taking Amberen. I feel as beautiful today at 50 as I did when I was 30. Thank goodness for Amberin. It rebalances your hormones naturally, which relieves the symptoms of hormonal imbalance in menopause, like weight gain, hot flashes, fatigue, low libido, and more. For a limited time, you can get a 30-day supply free. Be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-830-7670. That's 1-800-830-7670.
Hi, this is Val Emmons, host of the Crime Chronicle Live. I know you've heard me talk about the HCG diet that I'm on from New Creations Weight Loss Clinic, and I'm ecstatic to tell you today that with the help of Dr. Schroeder, I've now lost 15 pounds and have been able to get into my size 10 jeans again comfortably. You have no idea how good that feels. If you are interested in the HCG diet, call New Creations Weight Loss Clinic today at 501-791-6795 for your appointment with Dr. Schroeder. That's 501-791-6795. Hi, this is Val Emmons. Do you have a business? Are you part of a nonprofit? Do you want to reach tens of thousands of loyal and informed consumers? Well, advertising on this radio show is more effective and affordable than you could ever imagine. Please call me 870-897-7716 or email me ccvalemmons@gmail.com to learn how you can have your business or organization's message heard on Crime Chronicle Live. That number again is 870-897-7716. Give me a call today.
Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Crime Chronicle Live with your host, Val Emmons.
All right, welcome back, everyone. If you missed that first 15 minutes, we had Asa Hutchinson on. That was a great interview, I thought. I would like to talk to him more, so I'm sure he'll be on in the future, and we'll get to a little bit more time with him. He had a lot of stuff to do today. So here with me in the studio now, I have Brian Vandiver, who's a Little Rock attorney, and we're going to talk now. We're going to switch gears a little bit, talk about corporate crime and how you can prevent being a victim of that, especially if you're a business owner. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Val.
I'm glad to have you with
Thank
us. So what do you have first for us today?
I'm an attorney with the Mitchell-Williams Law Firm, and just want to say that I'm speaking for myself, not my firm. But I practice labor and employment law, and I represent companies, corporations, and oftentimes I run into examples of corporate crime. And the two examples I normally run into are theft of money and theft of information. So we're going to talk about that today.
Okay. So let's start with a theft of money.
So when we talk about theft of money, we're talking about embezzlement, employees skimming off the top, maybe overcharging for expenses or overcharging their time, things like that.
Okay.
So as a business owner, you obviously want to make sure...
And as an employee as well, you want to make sure that... I just want to throw that in.
That's right. Everyone wants to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing and not breaking the law. But this is a form of stealing, and people can not only be sued for it, but they can be prosecuted for it, and many have in our state recently been prosecuted for this type of theft. So as a business owner, some of the policies and procedures you might want to think about, first you might want to think about, if you're not doing background checks for employees who are handling money, I would strongly encourage that, because you don't want to hire someone to handle your money if they've been convicted in the past for embezzlement or theft, something like that.
Right.
So you want to make sure you have those procedures and processes in place for your applicants and your new hires. And then don't assume that your books are correct. Make sure that you have someone double-checking your books, looking at your records. Make sure that your audit is thorough and goes deep enough into the details, because whoever is conducting your financial audit, you want to make sure that they're seeing all of the details necessary to give you a full and accurate picture. And I'll give you one example of that, because recently I was handling a case, and I'll just obviously keep it anonymous.
Right.
But there was a case involving a CEO, and she was charging the company for overtime as a CEO. Now, of course, everyone knows that a CEO should be salaried, exempt employee, not entitled to overtime. But, she was paying herself tens of thousands of dollars a year more in overtime that she shouldn't have been earning. But the audit report that was being given to the board was just an overview of the compensation for the entire staff. It was just one number for the total.
It wasn't broken out.
Wasn't broken out, and so the auditor hadn't really, dived into the details of who was getting exactly what, what amounts of overtime were being paid, and so this happened over a period of several years until the board finally figured it out.
Oh, wow.
And so that's an example of you want to make sure that you have the proper processes and procedures in place to make sure that your company is not the subject of some type of...
simple little thing could have prevented the loss of that money.
That's right.
And so what happens when you're on the flip side of that and you're the person that did it? What happens to the employee?
Well, they obviously get fired
But I mean, in terms of law.
But that person can be prosecuted criminally, and that person can also be sued by the company to recoup that stolen money.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So that would be one example. Another example of theft of money is you have an employee overcharging for maybe expenses. I see a lot of this sometimes with salespeople who are out trying to get new business, and they are taking people to dinner. Mm-hmm. They're going to different events, and they're turning in all kinds of receipts. When you have that kind of expense activity, it's really easy to just bury some personal expenses into that. And so again, that's a type of fraud, a type of theft that the company is paying for that personal expense when the company shouldn't be paying for that. And so, of course, once that comes to light, the person is either terminated or disciplined some way, depending upon the severity of it. But
bottom line is, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
That's right. That's right. I mean,
that's how I look at it.
You have to use common sense, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't use common sense. They don't think about the repercussions of stealing from their employer.
Well, and that's true in all sorts of different crime lately, anyway.
Another example would be a bookkeeper, skimming off the top. They can play with the numbers. They can.
How do they do that? I've always wondered that. Like, anyone who knows me knows I am not a math genius. I hate numbers. I hate accounting.
Right.
You could probably steal from me whenever I make enough money that you would want to get there. You probably could steal it from me because I have no clue. But how do you skim off the top? You hear that all the time. And
I'm not a numbers guy either, or I wouldn't be practicing law. So.
That's true. That's true.
But I can tell you that I've had several cases involving bookkeepers and payroll people that they can move money and cut a check to themselves and make it look like a legitimate expense, but it's not. And it shows up on the books as a valid expense, but then that check is then taken by that person, or that cash is taken by that person from, say, a petty cash drawer, and it's just chalked up to a loss or chalked up to another expense category, and the company.
So it's mixed up. It's muddled up in the.
That's what they want to do. They want to cloud the books. They want to hide it. Deceive the company, and so. Again, if there's no double check on that person, whoever it is, if there's not a second set of eyes on the books, what they're doing, then the company is exposed and at risk for losing that money.
Right. So it's very important that you have someone keep track and make sure your audit is thorough. Do your background checks.
Very important.
And you can also pick up the Crime Chronicle. Because I know y'all aren't going to believe this, but I know people that are in that thing that you should not hire.
Well, it's just shocking to me. You think you would be shocked at the times that this happens, and not only the number of times, but the people in positions of powers like CEOs, like executives, that think that they can get away with it.
Do you think it's because they think they're like everyone else is powerless, and I mean they just think that they're gonna get caught. They're not gonna get caught.
I stopped trying.
You stopped trying to figure it out.
Stop trying to figure out the insanity.
Yeah.
I just play.
I guess you have to be on that level where they're at to make you want to do something like that.
Exactly.
To understand it. I got you.
So I think, like with any other crime, whether it's a physical crime, it's just you can't understand the motive. Sometimes these people are in a financial position personally that they're trying to recover from. Sometimes they have a bad habit, whether it's drugs or something else that they're paying for. So there's a lot of different motivations, but bottom line is the company needs to protect itself.
All right. So up next we got
theft of information.
Theft of information. All right. We'll take a quick, short break, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Val Emmons. Do you have a business? Are you part of a nonprofit? Do you want to reach tens of thousands of loyal and informed consumers? Well, advertising on this radio show is more effective and affordable than you could ever imagine. Please call me 870-897-7716 or email me ccvalemmons@gmail.com to learn how you can have your business or organization's message heard on Crime Chronicle Live. That number again is 870-897-7716. Give me a call today.
The biggest stories. Only one station.
KARN.
News on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks. KARN News Radio. The news is now.
71 degrees in Little Rock at 4:30. I'm Mike Kemp in the KARN News Center. 2 women living near the ExxonMobil pipeline rupture are suing the company. Attorneys for Kimla Green and Catherine Chun filed a lawsuit in federal court Friday, a week after the Mayflower pipeline failure. The class action complaint filed Friday says the women are bringing the lawsuit on behalf of themselves and other people living near the pipeline in Arkansas. Their lawsuit says they're seeking money to make up for a permanent diminishment in property value. ExxonMobil declined to comment. West Virginia Senator Jay Rockefeller, the chairman of the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, is calling on the feds to implement pipeline safety reforms after the Mayflower oil spill. Rockefeller says the Arkansas spill is a reminder of the need for rigorous oversight of the country's pipelines. Investigators still trying to figure out why that pipeline failed. Representative Tim Griffin says we have to do everything possible to help the residents of Mayflower, but he tells Bob Steele on KARN's First News this broken pipeline has not shaken his support for the Keystone Pipeline or any other pipeline for that matter.
What's the alternative? How do you want to move this stuff? Do you want to put it in trucks, run up and down the highway where you drive? Is that safer? The statistics show, even the Obama administration has said, it's not safer. What about rail? That's not safer. There's risk for all of it.
The Arkansas Senate is rejecting legislation that would have required racial impact statements for any legislation that creates new criminal offenses or changes existing sentencing laws. The Senate voted 15-10 on Friday in favor of the bill, which needed 18 votes in the 35-member Senate. Arkansas-based Tyson Foods has agreed to settle a federal lawsuit over the release of ammonia at Tyson sites in Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. Tyson will pay $4 million in fines and send $300,000 to fire departments in the areas. I'm Mike Kemp, KARN News Radio, 102.9 FM on air, online, KARNnewsradio.com.
From the Fox 16 Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baskin. We'll see clouds on the increase as we go towards the late evening and into the overnight hours. Staying fairly mild tonight with low temperatures dropping into the mid-50s. Sunday, a mixture of clouds, a few breaks of sunshine, and even a stray shower possible, but staying mild with high temperatures in the low to mid-70s. Monday, we'll see some clouds and a little bit of sunshine with highs in the mid-70s.
Hi, this is Val Emmons, host of the Crime Chronicle Live. I know you've heard me talk about the HCG diet that I'm on from New Creations Weight Loss Clinic, and I'm ecstatic to tell you today that with the help of Dr. Schroeder, I've now lost 15 pounds and have been able to get into my size 10 jeans again comfortably. You have no idea how good that feels. If you are interested in the HCG diet, call New Creations Weight Loss Clinic today at 501-791-6795 for your appointment with Dr. Schroeder. That's 501-791-6795.
All offers with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Crane Ford on Chenal Parkway is moving to a brand new dealership. But before we do, we must move over 500 new and pre-owned vehicles to make room for the extra inventory Ford is delivering to our new store. brand new F-Series trucks, Escapes, Fiestas, Fusions, Focus, Explorers, and more, as well as hundreds of pre-owned Chevys, Fords, Hondas, Toyotas, and others, all marked at disposal prices. Prices so low they can't be advertised. Lenders are on site with millions to lend, and interest rates as low as 0% are available. We don't want to move these units to our new location, so we are passing the savings on to you. Hundreds of vehicles must go immediately before we move, and the best will go first. So rush to Crane Ford at 15400 Chenal Parkway in Little Rock for the best selection, largest inventory, and lowest prices.
CraneTeam.com. Have you picked up your Crime Chronicle this week? Crime Chronicle is the Central Arkansas publication for crime-related news. Pick up your copy today at any convenience store or gas station near you. You can also find us on Facebook at www.facebook/Crime Chronicle.
You're listening to Crime Chronicle with Val Emmons. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Crime Chronicle or follow Crime Chronicle on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Crime Chronicle Live. I'm Val Emmons, and I'm here with Brian Vandiver. He's a local attorney. If you've been listening to us, earlier in the show, we had Asa Hutchinson on. We talked a little bit with him about his DEA activities and the National School Shield Task Force that he had led, and the report that came out this week. Week's not over yet. I keep pushing it. So now we're talking about theft of information. So, Brian, when it comes to theft of information, what are the three most important things you should remember?
Three most important things
or look for?
Well, one, I would say you'd want to identify the information you want to protect.
Okay.
You would want to have policies and procedures in place to protect that information. And then you would want to make sure that you do protect that information. You're aggressively enforcing your policies. You're not lackadaisical about whatever.
Lackadaisical.
Yeah,
I like that word. I haven't heard it in a while. Yeah.
That's
pretty much lazy.
That's legal jargon
for lazy.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to use it a lot.
So you don't want to be lazy in enforcing your confidential information, your information that you want to protect.
Because if you are,
then the court may say, well, you didn't care about enforcing it last year, so why should I enforce it protect it this year?
So what sort of information, like copyright? Let's start there.
Yeah, so when we're talking about information, there's several different statutes that would come into play. Copyright statute protects original works, so we're talking about songs and books and things like that. The copyright statute will come into play for original works of an author.
Okay.
Patent law comes into play for inventions. So if you're an inventor and you have an invention, then you want to patent your product or your invention. So that set of laws will come into place to protect that. You have the trademark laws come into play with regard to company names and company logos. And that, oftentimes will protect what we call the mark or the symbol of the company. And then you have trade secret law, which protects a company's trade secrets or confidential information. And I deal a lot with trade secret laws because there you're talking about customer information, maybe business strategy, and oftentimes trade secret laws come into play when you have an employee who leaves your company and goes to a competitor or wants to go to a competitor. And so we have to deal with litigation to protect that information, to try to prevent that information from being stolen or taken to a competitor. And that can get pretty nasty very quickly. I usually call it the divorce of business law because you have an employee that's leaving your company and going to a competitor, and usually the litigation goes, like I said, fast-paced. It usually goes for a preliminary injunction very quickly to try to get the court to step in, issue an injunction, and protect the company's information and rights.
So when I think of trade secrets and stuff like that, I think of KFC, and like Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
All these places that have recipes.
Right.
So how often do you deal with something like that?
Well, I mean, it happens. I have had a client that had a recipe. I won't say the product, but definitely it happens here and there. Most of the time, the confidential information, though, is customer list. That's the area that I litigate the most. And
so, like, for example, say like somebody is selling insurance. And you take the list that you're working at this company.
That's right.
To another company, and then therefore go selling and rewriting the insurance policies
off
that list. So that would qualify for.
Potentially, if that insurance company, the first insurance company has taken the proper steps to protect it, to make sure that access was restricted, that not everyone had access to it, just maybe that salesman or the people that needed to know. So it depends a lot about your internal procedures and processes to make sure that information is protected on the front end before it truly becomes a trade secret.
Right.
Otherwise, the court's going to say, well, if you were letting the receptionist look at it or anyone else in the company look at it, then you really didn't think of it as a secret.
Right. Well, that's interesting to know, because a lot of people don't think about protecting their client lists or their customer lists.
Well, for a lot of companies, that information is really the information that drives your business.
Right.
Who your customers are, who your clients are. And so that list, that information is really one of the most valuable pieces of information a company can have. And when you have an employee leave and threaten to take that information,
take your company with them.
That's right. It takes the book of business with them.
And build someone else's company off of your book of contacts.
That's right. And so that can be very dangerous. And we deal with not only paper files, but oftentimes now we're dealing with electronic files. So we're dealing with...
Which is probably easier to trace probably, but harder to, find. How does that work?
Oftentimes I tell my clients that are coming to me and saying, I have an employee that just left, I don't know if they took anything or not. I say first step is to preserve their computer. If they had a computer, preserve it. Make sure you don't wipe it. You want to know what they did in the last day, the last week, the last month before they left you, because you can have an IT forensic examination of that computer and know every file that they copied and downloaded and emailed to, say, a personal email account. And if they do that, not only are they violating state law, but they're violating a specific federal law called the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which could turn the state case into a federal case.
So basically, even emails that you've sent from a private account to someone else, not your work account, but from, like, say, a Hotmail account or something like that, it can still be traced on your computer.
Well, if it can be, and it can also, especially if they attached information
from
to that
data,
Hotmail account. So if they attach, say, an Excel document that has the customer list on it, then that can be traced on that computer.
This is great information. I hope everyone's maybe writing some of this down. If not, maybe they can call you.
Well, and I had a case involving an insurance salesman that did just that. I mean, she downloaded and copied information to flash drives and walked out of that company with those flash drives with a huge amount of information, and took that to a competitor.
Oh, wow.
And not only customer lists, but other types of data that were protected, confidential information, and we litigated it and won. So it happens, and it's out there, and employers need to know that information should be protected. And if you get wind or you have an inkling that one of your key people are going to leave, then you need to make sure that information is protected, and you have built in already confidentiality policies. For example, if you don't have a confidentiality policy, have your salesman sign that, and that's going to hurt your argument that information is confidential.
Right. Okay. Well, we will take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take some calls, 433-0092, if you have some questions for Brian, or if you have some questions for me, or if you want to talk about another topic. or tell us some news that's going on. Go ahead and call us, 433-0092. The lines are open. We'll be right back. Have you picked up your Crime Chronicle this week? Crime Chronicle is the Central Arkansas publication for crime-related news. Pick up your copy today at any convenience store or gas station near you. You can also find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Crime Chronicle. Hi, this is Val Emmons, host of the Crime Chronicle Live. I know you've heard me talk about the HCG diet that I'm on from New Creations Weight Loss Clinic, and I'm ecstatic to tell you today that with the help of Dr. Schroeder, I've now lost 15 pounds and have been able to get into my size 10 jeans again comfortably. You have no idea how good that feels. If you are interested in the HCG diet, call New Creations Weight Loss Clinic today at 501-791-6795 for your appointment with Dr. Schroeder. That's 501-791-6795.
Never play leapfrog with a unicorn. Never run with scissors unless you're a tardy barber. Never wear a fanny pack. No, really, don't ever wear a fanny pack. And never trust a car that hasn't been trusted to Midas. Save on brakes, maintenance, and total car care for a car you can depend on long after the warranty expires. You deserve the Midas touch. Save up to $50 on new brake pads or shoes. Installed. $25 per axle. Excludes warranty redemptions, most vehicles at participating Midas.
This spring, Isle of Capri-Lula will mow you away. Get ready for the great mower giveaway Fridays and Saturdays in April. You can win a brand new John Deere mower. That's right, we're giving away one John Deere mower every Friday and Saturday in April. And it's so easy to enter. April 1st through 27th, get one free entry daily and earn additional entries with play on your fan club card. Every Friday and Saturday, we'll select one lucky guest every hour between 6 and 10 p.m. to win $100 in fan play. Then every Friday and Saturday night, be here at 11 p.m. One lucky guest will ride off in a John Deere mower. Don't miss the great mower giveaway Fridays and Saturdays in April. You can win a brand new John Deere mower only at Isle of Capri-Lula. Must be 21. John Deere is a registered trademark of Deere & Company. Event is subject to change or cancellation without notice. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-777-9696.
This is the actual voice of someone who reported software piracy. What steps did you take?
Well, the first thing I did in my particular case was to report it to the management of the company. I went to them directly. And then when they failed to act, I contacted the BSA, went to their website, reviewed everything, and then made a confidential report.
If your company copies software illegally, report it confidentially to BSA, the Software Alliance, and you may be eligible for a cash reward. Go online and input nopiracy.org or call 1-888-NO-PIRACY.
Do you want to learn how to safely own and shoot a handgun? Or do you want to go beyond that and learn how to fight with a handgun to defend your life? If the answer is yes, then Last Resort Firearms Training can teach you both either through private lessons, a class for concealed carry license, or with several advanced level classes. You can call Ed Monk at 870-273-1113 at Last Resort Firearms Training to schedule your training, or you can find them on Facebook. Last Resort instructors are trained military and current police officers. Call them today, 870-273-1113. You'll be glad you did. Hi, this is Val Emmons. Do you have a business? Are you part of a nonprofit? Do you want to reach tens of thousands of loyal and informed consumers? Well, advertising on this radio show is more effective and affordable than you could ever imagine. Please call me, 870-897-7716, or email me, ccvalemmons@gmail.com, to learn how you can have your business or organization's message heard on Crime Chronicle Live. That number again is 870-897-7716. Give me a call today.
Don't be a victim. Keep listening to Crime Chronicle Live on KARN 102.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Crime Chronicle Live. This is Val Emmons, and I'm here with Brian Vandiver, an attorney with, we're talking about corporate law, or corporate crimes, basically. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about patents, trade secrets, copyright. And if you have a question for Brian, give us a call, 433-0092. This is interesting stuff that I think every business owner needs to know. Or if you're out there inventing things, or you're going to write a book, or you've written something that you want to protect. And in my children's case, they write music. So let's get to that, because there's probably a lot of people, maybe one or two people out there that have no idea but would like to know about that. So if you write some music, and you put it out on Facebook, that's not protected.
It's your original work, and you have certain rights to it, but you need to go through the proper steps to make sure if you want a copyright to it, then you need to go through the proper channels and procedures to make sure that you get the copyright to it. Same thing with a patent. If you have an invention, you want to make sure that you get the patent, the U.S. patent, to own that invention. So our firm can handle those issues, what we call intellectual property. That's the legal term for it, intellectual property. And so if you have an intellectual property issue, our firm can assist you. And feel free to call me. We had someone call in during the break asking for my number. But again, I'm Brian. I'm Brian Vandiver with the Mitchell Williams Law Firm, and my direct dial is 501-688-8893, and we'd be happy to help anyone that has these issues.
And so, on the patent laws for inventions, how often have you run across? I'm just interested by this stuff for some reason. I'm a dork and a nerd like that. But how many times do you run across people that are actually inventing the same product that conflict, or people stealing other people's ideas? Or
it happens a lot, more than you think, because a lot of times if you have a great idea, you're not the only one that has that great idea. And
you think you are, but
that's right. And it may be similar but a little different. But the race to the U.S. Patent Office to get that patent is very important, so you can enforce your rights to own that idea, own that invention, and then reap the proceeds from it, hopefully.
So, like, whenever say your business is on the internet, and you have pictures out there of your business on the internet, and somebody goes to Google and they Google it, they use that photo. Is that okay?
Use what?
To use a photo of someone else's business, or a photo that someone else has taken. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a web page for your business, right. Somebody goes out, Googles something, and that there happens to be a picture from your page, and they take it and they use it in some other work, like say they're writing an article or something like that. Is that okay, or are there laws that can protect your photos that are on your website for your business?
Well, the law is pretty murky when it comes to Facebook. So we want to distinguish.
Or just Google. That's kind of.
Let's distinguish between Facebook and, say, a company website.
Right.
So with regard to a company website, the company owns the website, owns the content of that website, and owns the pictures as well. With regard to Facebook, now you've put that information onto a different
public
forum, and it's much more public, and it's much harder to argue that others can't use that information.
Oh, nice. Well, we have a caller on the line. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. We hope you were better, madam.
I am. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
If I have an idea to take an existing product that has probably got a patent on it and then modify it, would they have the patent right to it, or could I get the patent on it? Or how hard, or does that get into an area that's so murky it makes Louisiana muck look nice?
No, that's a great question. I appreciate your call. It depends on what modification you're talking about and how much you're modifying the product. If your idea is truly an independent idea that's separate and apart from the original patent, or if it's just a slight amendment or change to the original idea. And so it depends on the significance of the modification.
Okay. So just taking it from if they used it for air and I used it for water, that wouldn't be a big enough probably then.
It just depends.
All right.
Well, thank you for your
question.
You, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. Well, that's a good question. It's interesting. They should definitely give you a call. You want to give your information out one more time?
Yeah, 501-688-8893.
Is that your direct line, or they ask you?
That is my direct line.
Okay.
And,
so if you have some questions, or you want to put Brian to work
that's right.
for your business, or if you have a patent or a trade secret, or if you want to just copyright something in a professional manner, not mail it to yourself. That's what they always told us in college. You mail it to yourself and don't open the letter, then that's copyright. Is that true? That's not true, is it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think that sounded right. But, okay, so the show today, we have had a great show today. We've had Asa Hutchinson on. We have had Brian on. We've had a few calls.
By the way, let me say that I'm a big fan of Asa. I think he'd be a great governor for our state, and I sure hope that he wins.
And it's not even close yet. The race is pretty. He's in the lead though, in all the polls. Which I'm not a big poll follower. I don't keep up with the polls too much. But I did hear that he is in the lead over Bill Halter from all the other candidates right now. I mean, things could change. Things always change. But I like Asa too. I think that this National School Shield. I mean, if you're a parent and you're concerned with your child's safety, you need to read this. There's a lot of recommendations in there, and this, from what I've read, this is not. I've seen the interviews on television, on the other networks with Asa, where they chew him up. Not spit him out, but he holds his own. But I mean, the whole focus that they're on is guns, guns, guns. This is not about guns. This is about school safety, and most of these things, and nobody's making any money off of it. They're recommendations that each individual school needs to look at for their own community and take and pick and choose what works for them and what doesn't. And it's not saying you need to employ this or buy 100 guns. I mean, it's not even like that. You need to be there are some things. The best thing that I found in this was that they are recommending that the NRA set up. I meant to ask Asa about this too, but they asked him to. They recommended that the National School Shield is in a position with adequate funding and support from the NRA to fulfill an important national mission of possibly creating a private nonprofit for advocacy and education when it comes to schools setting up their security and looking at it and just being adequate enough to stand up against an attack, that would happen like at Sandy Hook or somewhere like that.
What blows my mind is, I see with a lot of my clients and businesses, whether it's a bank or some other business, they're going to have their own security guard. We're protecting those assets.
Yeah.
And
because there's money.
And why would we not want to protect what I think are our most important assets, our children? So
100% agree with you, Brian. And so that's been the gist of the show today. If you want to talk to us on Facebook, you can definitely join the conversation still and pick up the Crime Chronicle at your local convenience store, gas station, or wherever they might have it. Or if you want to get us in your neighborhood convenience store, give us a call. You can give me a call, 870-897-7716 if you're interested in advertising. And also right now we're looking to hire an ad salesperson for the Crime Chronicle. You need previous ad sales experience, and you must have your own transportation. We don't need experience. We can always train you, but it's always a plus. So you can call 501-588-0389 if you're interested. You can email your resume to crimechronicle1@gmail.com. And then, it's just a great opportunity to work for a growing business, and we are growing, hugely growing. We've grown so much over the last 6 months, it's unreal. But as always, get out there and be vigilant. I know that people are interested in crime a lot more than they used to be interested in crime because it's affecting them. It affects us every day, and you have got to be vigilant. You see crime going on, go ahead and call it in. It's better than to not report it because you never know what people are up to. I am phone happy now. If I see something that looks like a crime, I'm on it. I'll call them. I will call them up and tell them. So, and I also wanted to give it a quick shout out to Dr. Schroeder because I have lost 21 pounds now on this HCG diet. I know. I'm so excited. I look so good. I tried on all of my clothes from my closet, and I was like, it's like going shopping again because I have all my skinny clothes put back in the back. I can wear them again. I'm so excited. But anyway, so that's been our show today. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Crime Chronicle, or you can go to my page and you can, if you need to talk to Brian, you can give him a call as well.
I appreciate the chance to be on the show today.
Appreciate you being here. Peace out, everyone. Have a great day.
From ABC News, I'm Daniela Bellotta in Afghanistan. It was the deadliest day for Americans since August. ABC's Linda Albin reports from the Foreign Desk.
In southern Afghanistan, 3 U.S. troops, 2 American civilians, and an American doctor were killed when a car bomber detonated his explosives as the convoy passed another carrying a provincial governor. It's unclear which convoy was being targeted. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity said several other Americans and Afghans were wounded in the attack. Meanwhile, another American civilian was killed in a separate incident in eastern Afghanistan. The attacks occurred as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff arrived to assess ways the U.S. can continue to provide training once coalition forces leave.
North Korea is still saber-rattling, but all eyes are on its closest ally. Retired Marine Corporate Colonel and ABC News military consultant Steve Ganyard explains why.
The only clear savior in this whole situation could potentially be China, who could come in and calm down the situation.
South Korea's military believes the North will launch a missile around April 15th, the birthday of Kim Jong-un's grandfather, who founded the country. Nelson Mandela is thrilled to be back home, and South Africans are relieved.
It's the greatest news we can think of. So we really wish him well, and we're thrilled to hear he's home.
The 94-year-old former president spent 10 days in the hospital. He had pneumonia. Evangelical pastor Rick Warren and his family are grieving the death of his 27-year-old son, Matthew. He committed suicide. He'd struggled with mental illness and deep depression. African-American women diagnosed with breast cancer have a much lower survival rate, according to a new study. But Candace Kroenke at Kaiser Permanente says they can't explain why.
We attempted to adjust for a variety of different factors, including lifestyle factors such as smoking and differences in weight, which we thought might help to explain some of the association. But even adjustment for lifestyle factors didn't help to explain the association.
She says it's clear more research is needed. You're listening to ABC News.
At risk of losing your home in a foreclosure? We can help. We'll deal with your bank, lower your principal. We'll buy you a pony, give you the ability to fly. We'll let you ride a unicorn. We'll give you a...
If you're facing foreclosure, who should you trust? The Hope Hotline is a free resource connecting you with HUD-approved housing counseling agencies available 24 hours a day who can give you the information and clarity you need. Call the Hope Hotline at 888-995-HOPE. That's 888-995-4673. Brought to you by NeighborWorks America and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
The holy grail of baseball cards, a rare T206 Honus Wagner baseball card, fetching $2.1 million at auction, a record for a trading card sold at a public auction. There's less than 50 of these cards out there. Wichita State and Louisville, the first Final Four matchup of the night, just getting underway in Atlanta. ABC's John Schriffen is there.
Louisville fans certainly have an overwhelming contingency here in Atlanta, and most of them are wearing something in support of Kevin Ware. They have signs, they have T-shirts, all with Ware's number 5 on them. The players also want to do something special for Kevin Ware tonight. So before the game, they will be wearing a special warm-up shirt with Ware's number 5 on it, so he can be there on the court with them. This will certainly be an emotional boost for Louisville, something that Wichita State will have to overcome.
Prank phone calls known as swatting. ABC's Ty Hernandez says they are not just being made in Hollywood.
Well, it's the Hollywood A-list nobody wants to be on, but the list goes on and on. Justin Bieber, Clint Eastwood, and it's not just celebrities. There are an estimated 400 incidents of swatting across the country, and they cost police an average of $10,000 each time.
Last month, a 12-year-old admitted making a hoax 911 call to get police to swarm actor Ashton Kutcher's house. He's been charged, but the preteen has not been sentenced yet. This is ABC News.
Never play poker with a guy named Lucky. Never hit a piñata that has hornets coming out of it. Never play rock, paper, scissors with Edward Rock Hands or Edward Paper Hands. And never trust a car that hasn't been trusted to Midas. Save on brakes, maintenance, and total car care for a car you can depend on long after the warranty expires. You deserve the Midas touch. Save up to $50 on new brake pads or shoes installed. $25 per axle. Excludes warranty redemptions, most vehicles at participating Midas.
I'm Daniela Bellotta, ABC News.
This is the voice of Arkansas.
News Radio 102.9 FM KARN, Sheridan, a Cumulus station.
From the Fox 16 Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baskin. We'll see clouds on the increase as we go towards the late evening and into the overnight hours. Staying fairly mild tonight with low temperatures dropping into the mid-50s. Sunday, a mixture of clouds, a few breaks of sunshine, and even a stray shower possible, but staying mild with high temperatures in the low to mid-70s. Monday, we'll see some clouds and a little bit of sunshine with highs in the mid-70s.
It's a fact. Wall Street has an unending appetite for your money. Neither Wall Street nor the government wants an informed public. Your best defense is an informed mind. Tune in to The David Lucas Show every Saturday at 2 p.m. where we expose the truth regarding your money, your investments, and your retirement. If what you thought to be true about your money turned out not to be, when would you want to know? Learn the truth this Saturday at 2 p.m. on The David Lucas Show. Call me anytime at 501-218-8880. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
From ABC News, this is Perspective. Perspective, taking you beyond the headlines of today's stories and trends. I'm Sherry Preston. In the minutes ahead, the video that sparked outrage on a New Jersey college campus.
There's no explanation for what's on those films because there is no excuse for it. I was wrong.
A cheating scandal in Atlanta that could land public school teachers in jail.
As a parent that wants the best for their child, I'm very disappointed.
And the threat from Kim Jong-un. The North Korean leader ramps up the rhetoric of war.
We take his threats serious, and the prudent measures we take is to make sure, one, we can defend our homeland, and we can protect our ally.
All ahead on Perspective. But first, Rutgers University fired basketball coach Mike Rice on Wednesday after ESPN aired video of him pushing players in the chest, grabbing them by their jerseys and yanking them around the court. Rice could also be heard screaming obscenities and gay slurs at practice. Following outrage over the footage, University Athletic Director Tim Fernetti stepped down. ABC's Gio Benitez has the details.